another team that has great long-term chances, the New York Liberty, basically just doing whatever they wanted to the Atlanta Dream all day. I'll let you start on this one because I think there are just so many exciting things that happened in this game, so many players to talk about. What stood out most to you?
You got to start with Leonie Fiebich, I think. Just the fact that she is was never in the WNBA, was barely playing at the beginning and looking like, a rookie that is kind of assembling to this, acclimating to this league, to what did she start 7 for 7 yesterday or something like that? I mean, she has been historically efficient this season. And I think she has one of the best 3-point records percentages for any player this season. And to come off, to go from having not really played early on to now you're a starter and doing what she did yesterday, it changes this team because they already have so much talent. And now you add her. She wasn't even really supposed to be such a big factor. And now she's looking like one of the best players on the floor. And that's not just yesterday. Like, that's been a thing for a little bit of time now.
Yeah, I mean, she had a career high 21 points on 8 shots. I think that's good. I think that's pretty efficient. You actually wrote that she has the 7th highest plus minus of any WNBA player, and the highest among bench players, was obviously a contender for 6th Woman of the Year. She's obviously, she's not your classic rookie. She's 24. She's a former Spanish League MVP. She has tons of big game experience. She's played in the Olympics, so it isn't necessarily a huge surprise. But anytime you can get a game like that from somebody who wasn't in the starting lineup, but was inserted into the starting lineup in what I think was just such like it felt like a fuck you to the entire league. Like the Liberty already have one of the best starting lineups in the W, and they jumped to like 23.8 net rating with Fiebich in the starting lineup or in that lineup. It was just like, are you serious? It was kind of like, are you a poker person?
Not much.
Do you know the basics? No?
I learned a little bit at Summer League this year, so
nice.
It's
okay.
Possible.
Yeah, so Summer League was the beginning of my blackjack addiction, which then turned into an online poker addiction, which then turned into losing some money.
There you go.
And then turned into kicking that addiction. Thank God.
There you go.
And yeah, but it was like watching a player that had a full house and just turned the quads. Like, are you serious with this lineup, man? It's just incredible. And it felt like it was like, oh, the 6th Woman of the Year race is over. Cool. All right, here's a hand we really want to play. She comes off the bench for Courtney Vandersloot. Now this lineup has so much size. They have speed, they have, skill at every position, they have spacing at every position. It made life impossible for Atlanta. Like, I just felt bad for Jordan Canada, who is 5'6" and was just having to deal with Sabrina Ionescu ripping off screens, just bullying her, hitting that. I love when Sabrina goes like deeper and deeper with the floater, farther and farther out, because every time I'm like, take a step in, then she just hits it, and I'm like, okay, fine, take your free throw line floater. Like, I guess that's your shot. But yeah, I thought it was a great change, and I thought that it made like everything impossible for Atlanta. Like, all of a sudden, Ryan Howard just like, they're switching every screen, they're being so physical with her. It just not that they needed like an ace in the hole against the Dream, but it was really just like, we're gonna demolish you. Sorry.
I know, and it's one of those things like I almost feel like I got a little blinded by the last regular season game where Atlanta came out on top, and the Liberty had like not the best end to the season. They dropped a few games. They didn't look like the same team that dominated early on, and they were starting to lose me. Like, I think I made my official prediction was that Minnesota was going to win the championship. And even after one game now, I'm like, did I get a little carried away with like a few bad games for New York? And like, they're actually a super team that has like every indication, every metric this season. They've been the most dominant team. Like, they're probably going to get this done. So yeah, I mean, Breanna Stewart, like she's found her rhythm in the, after the Olympic break, her shot's back on. Obviously you have Leonie Fiebich, who's like, to me, just continues to be the X factor, but Jonquel Jones, like former MVP, like they just have so much going for them, this team, that sometimes I feel like we take them for granted a little bit. And, I just covered the Celtics championship run. There are a lot of parallels between those two teams where it's like, they fell short the previous year. So we're ignoring the fact that we're seeing like so much greatness this season. And yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Liberty like kind of smoke everybody on the way to the championship. And we all look back like, wait a second, we actually kind of knew this was coming. Why did we not believe in them? So
I'm so glad you brought up the Celtics, because I was literally going to ask you this. By the way, with those of you who are unfamiliar with Noa's work, she is also a great Celtics beat writer. So it's another reason I want to add. But it really feels like they are becoming victims of overfamiliarity. Like we have gotten so used to seeing them lose in deep spots that we're kind of ignoring the fact that they got into those places in the first place. And also that if you approach things the right way, all of those things they can be lessons. Like all those losses are actually something that they could have to their advantage. Like you look at a team like Minnesota, for example, like they're riding so high that I'm kind of like that. I wonder, okay, like when it gets really hard for you guys, what is it going to look like? Whereas at Liberty, they've been in those positions. They know what it's like, even if they haven't always been successful in those positions. And it has this way of, because I also picked the Lynx and now I'm like, oops. It has this way of making you revisit all of the history and stuff that makes you doubt them. Like even looking back to their loss against the Lynx, I now look at that press conference where they had this, I think, pretty good balance between disappointment in themselves for getting smoked on their home court by the Lynx, while also having resolve and being honest that they just didn't play hard enough. Like I look back at that press conference now and I'm like, oh, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that they got punched in the mouth right before the start of the playoffs. Because now they've unlocked this lineup that was obviously still going to play a ton of minutes, but to start with it just feels like, okay, we're getting serious now. And you know, if you didn't believe in us, then that's on you. Almost like another team it reminds me of is like the year 2 Miami Heat with LeBron.
Very much
like
so.
The first year of the big three just didn't work out. In year 2, they were just like, they were so serious.
Yeah, and I think like it kind of like the Celtics, like people are freaking out about New York. They had 1 year together, right? So they didn't fall short of expectations last season. Like they made it to the finals and they played a historically great team and they lost. And so that's how I felt covering the Celtics all year. Everybody was kind of like, you know, they keep choking, and it's like not really. They're all, you know, they're 26, they're in their primes. Like it's not like they're in the latter half of their career and we already know they have no track record of winning. So I think this New York team has like everything you need to win a championship. I mean, the one thing I'm a little worried about is the fact that Sabrina Ionescu just hasn't looked like herself in this latter half of the season. Like it's kind of hard to believe that she went from being like a historically great shooter to somebody who's, you know, kind of had a couple of really tough nights as of late, and she's finished the season with like 33% from the field in the second half. So not ideal for somebody who's known for being such a great shooter. So to me, that's like a little bit of an X factor, but basically, you know, this is kind of a perfect team on paper and otherwise. Like everything that we've seen from them this year, like they have all the pieces.
Yeah, when Sabrina has to deal with the Jackie Youngs and Chelsea Grays of the world, I'm curious how that's going to look for her. Right now, just like she can do anything she wants on Jordan Canada, unfortunately. Yeah. And it's a pleasure to watch. There was also one of my other moments that I love in this game was when she passed up an open 3 to give one to Fiebich, who wasn't really quite that open, and she yells at her to shoot. And I think it was like the last one she made. It was like, dude, you're on a heater, shoot that thing. But they're having fun, and that's always a good sign too. I mean, I guess who's not having fun when they're blowing a team out? But it's starting to come up. Liberty, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna stick to my Lynx pick for now. But I don't know. I'm starting to feel nervous.
I feel like every hour I'd change my mind. Any of the top 4, I feel like could make a really great case for why this is the team that's going to win. Which just makes it so much more fun. I feel like last year everybody kind of knew it was going to be Liberty Aces, and this year it's not like that anymore. This year it's kind of a more open field, which is better for basketball and better for viewers everywhere, I think.